Long ago, in a place we now call Greece, there were many independent city-states. They weren't united as one country like today. These city-states, called in Greek, had their own governments, laws and ways of life. Imagine a land of mountains and islands, where each city was like its own little country. One of these cities was Athens, famous for its democracy where people voted and for its philosophers who loved to think and ask big questions. But today we're going to talk about another city-state, Sparta. Unlike Athens, Sparta was all about its military and its soldiers. To understand a war called the First Messenian War, we need to understand who the Spartans were and the world they lived in. Sparta was located in a place called Laconia, known for its fertile land, but the Spartans were more interested in being strong than being farmers. Spartan boys started training for war at a very young age. They had a tough upbringing, meant to make them the toughest and bravest soldiers in all of Greece. Everything about Sparta, from their laws to their everyday lives, revolved around being the best warriors. Now, west of Sparta, there was another region called Messenia. The people who lived there, the Messenians, were very different from the Spartans. They were peaceful farmers who loved their land. Life for them was more about enjoying the simple things and the changing seasons. While they had soldiers, they weren't obsessed with war like their Spartan neighbors, so you had these two very different groups living close to each other. Sparta was hungry for more land and power, and Messenia, with its rich resources, looked very tempting to them. See, it's this difference in their cultures, with Sparta wanting to conquer and Messenia wanting to be left alone, would eventually lead to a big conflict. This conflict, known as the First Messenian War, lasted for 20 long years. It happened in the 8th century BCE, a long, long time ago. This war would change both Sparta and Messenia forever. At the heart of the First Messenian War was a fundamental difference in how these societies lived. Sparta, with its strict rules and focus on military strength, was the opposite of Messenia. Messenia was a society of farmers where life was simpler and focused on the land. This difference in their values and how they lived made them rivals, and eventually it led to war. Sparta was built on taking over other places and controlling them. The most important people in Sparta were the warriors, called Spartiates. They had a system where they forced other people, called helots, to work the land for them. Because of this system, Sparta was always looking for new land and more people to conquer. Messenia, on the other hand, wasn't a threat to anyone. Their land was fruitful and they had plenty of food. Their society, while not as organized as Sparta's, was doing well and they were happy. They didn't want to conquer anyone, they just wanted to live in peace. However, Sparta looked at Messenia's wealth and saw an opportunity. Sparta's desire for more land and power, combined with Messenia's desire to simply live in peace, made a conflict almost unavoidable. It was like a pot of water slowly coming to a boil. Sparta, with its hunger for power, saw Messenia as a prize to be won. Messenia, meanwhile, just wanted to be left alone, not knowing that Sparta was about to unleash a storm upon them. The First Messenian War, a war that is still remembered today, didn't happen overnight. It started slowly, with both sides arguing and having small fights along their borders. But then, something happened that turned this simmering tension into a full-blown war, the Siege of Ampheia. This event changed everything for both Sparta and Messenia. Ampheia was a town on the border between Sparta and Messenia. It was a very important location for anyone who wanted to control the area. The Spartans, always looking for an excuse to fight, accused the Messenians of attacking them and giving shelter to criminals. The Messenians were angry about these accusations, but they were forced to defend themselves. The Spartan army, which was very well trained and organized, marched toward Ampheia. They surrounded the town, cutting it off from the outside world. The Spartans had better weapons and more experience in warfare, which gave them an advantage. The Messenians, though not as experienced in war, fought bravely to protect their homes. The Siege of Ampheia was a long and brutal fight. It went on for months. The Spartans, who were used to winning quickly, found themselves stuck in a long and difficult battle. The Messenians fought hard, but they were slowly being worn down by the relentless Spartan attack. When Ampheia finally fell to the Spartans, it sent a shockwave through Messenia. It showed everyone how powerful the Spartan army was, and hinted at the long and bloody war that was to come. The Siege of Ampheia was like lighting a fuse. It started a war that would consume both Sparta and Messenia for many years. The First Messenian War wasn't just about armies fighting, it was about two very different ways of life clashing. The Spartans, with their strict discipline and obedience, were like a well-oiled machine. The Messenians, while not as organized, fought with the courage and passion of people protecting their homeland. They were driven by their love for their land and their way of life. The Spartan army was a powerful force. Their soldiers, called hoplites, wore heavy armor and fought in tight formations called phalanxes. Imagine a wall of shields and spears moving together as one unit. This formation allowed them to attack and defend very effectively. Their training and discipline allowed them to outmaneuver their enemies and win battles. The Messenians, while lacking the Spartans' discipline, knew the land very well, and they were determined to fight for it. They were fighting for their homes and families, and that gave them incredible courage. The Spartans thought it would be easy to defeat the Messenians, but they were wrong. The Messenians fought back with everything they had. They used surprise attacks and took advantage of the difficult terrain, which they knew very well. The First Messenian War became a long and exhausting struggle. The Spartans, used to quick victories, were dragged into a war that lasted for years. The Messenians, though not as strong militarily, refused to give up. Their spirit remained unbroken. If you found this exploration of history illuminating, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content. Let us continue to learn from the past together.